Now, breaking news this morning, the presidency has confirmed that President Cyril Ramaphosa will this afternoon around 3 p.m. hold a media briefing at the Union Buildings in Pretoria, where he's expected to announce changes to his cabinet. The presidency says the cabinet reshuffle has been occasioned by the death of Environmental Affairs Minister Edna Molewa in September this year and the resignation of Malusi Gigaba, both as Home Affairs Minister and Member of Parliament, about a week ago. For more on this story, we're now joined in studio and would like to welcome the SABC News political editor to discuss the looming reshuffle and who is likely to come. And if there are any more changes beyond the two areas that are vacant. Mr. Hlophe, a very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for making the time. In the statement, the presidency requested that journalists should dress appropriately according to the decorum of the Union Buildings.
I'm sure I've done that for these reflections.
Are they trying to prepare journalists to say, they've asked that journalists not ask questions afterwards?
Look, in most cases, that's how it happens. You have the state president who stands up and speaks and say, this is who is coming in. They don't even give the profiles of such individuals. And then that's it, the press conference is done. Then it remains for the journalists to generate the profiles of the new appointees. They're saying that the changes are occasioned by the passing away of Minister Edna Molewa and the resignation of Minister Malusi Gigaba. But based on the mood in the country and his announcement during the State of the Nation address that there will be changes in terms of the format and the makeup of cabinet, there's always expectations that there are going to be changes. So it's not necessarily just brought on by these two events, is it? Look, it has always been on the table, but at two levels. The first one is the structure of the executive of the cabinet. There has been some indications among certain quarters of analysis that perhaps this cabinet is too big and that it tends to absorb a whole lot of more money, which could have been used for developmental purposes. So there is a need to restructure cabinet the way that he had said when he did his maiden State of the Nation address. So that's one. But then secondly, it's not just simply about reducing the cabinet numbers. It is also institutionally how it functions, because issues of state capacity in this country remain very, very prominent. So I think what it's going to do today is simply at a member's level, who's coming in as a cabinet minister for Home Affairs or Environmental Affairs. It's not necessarily that broader. The restructuring. You don't think they'll go between the beyond the two portfolios? Look, he can. He can. Also keep in mind that there's a court case where the Democratic Alliance has gone to court to demand that there are certain people within his cabinet that are not fit to be there. And Minister Gigaba was in that list until he took the decision himself. Yes, and Tabile Dlamini is also another one who is in that particular list, which it is going to be very interesting because I think he may also not want to be seen as dancing to the tune of the opposition. So if he sticks to these two, it wouldn't be surprising. But the reaction from the opposition will be very interesting to look at, because they do expect at least two more ministers to leave cabinet. Already we've seen this morning in Alberton, when the president was making the address to the NCOP, a portion of the EFF component within the room trying to give the president a hard time. Should we link this either to the state capture conversation or to what they're anticipating for this afternoon and how the changes can affect them? Well, for the next few weeks, the next few months, you should expect a heightened political contestation across political parties. Any instance where the president or even the leader of the opposition is in a public platform, you should expect what happened, because we are practically entering into that phase where political contestation, the barometer is getting up and up.
When we were looking to the president in terms of a replacement for the finance ministry, he was seen to bring stability in that crucial portfolio. Who can we expect to come in terms of these two particular portfolios?
You want me to throw bones? Chicken
Hopefully.
bones. Look, I'm not good at speculating. I wouldn't necessarily speculate, but I think what is likely to guide him is issues of governance. So he will not necessarily bring someone who is seen to be compromised when it comes to governance and clean government. And then secondly, I think is likely to bring people that can have an integrity in terms of the performance and the way that they handle issues of public affairs. I think those are likely to be his guiding principles. And I wouldn't like to speculate.
Why today?
Why today? Yeah, no, that, look, if we go into conspiracy theories, and then the assumption could be that perhaps, you know, he's diverting attention from the whole Bosasa 500 payment and all those kinds of issues, and redirecting public, you know, discourse to other areas. But I assume any given day in the politics of this country, it could be the day. It can happen any day.
At the end of our conversation, we're going to go back live to the testimony of the former Director General of the National Treasury, Lungisa Fuzile, at the State Capture Commission. What are your thoughts about the commission thus far? The testimony of former, well, not former Minister Pravin Gordhan and Mr. Fuzile.
I think it will be dangerous to put to express definitive ideas when the commission is still in progress. My approach is simple. Let everybody who has to go to the commission present the information required, and then after that, you know, we can make the necessary thoughts around. But I think
it wouldn't hurt to give comparisons in terms of the people who have appeared. And for one, you could say there's been sentiment that Mr. Gordhan just dealt mostly with process instead of detail, whereas Mr. Fuzile has actually given detail at times. And
yeah, but you see, that's equally, it will be very dangerous because there's a number of people that have applied to cross-examine those people that have already made submissions. So for one to express one's opinion before the cross-examination takes place, it will be practically to take a position on one side of the story before the other comes through.
What should we make of the EFF's attacks on Mr. Gordhan?
I think perhaps the question is towards what the commission in itself has become. I think for a number of political parties, it has become another area of political contestation. So whoever appears in that platform is likely to get some criticism from either from civil society organizations that do not agree with that person or from political parties. But I think the fact that this commission is sitting in the crescendo of an election, it is likely to experience these attacks and counter-attacks.
We're expecting several events this afternoon. The announcement of the reshuffle. The Reserve Bank is also announcing the Monetary Policy Commission announcements, the latest announcements. But also the African National Congress is saying they are responding to the EFF's attacks on Mr. Gordhan. Why would they want to
look, it's interesting because
that way?
The ANC has said that they will not run an ongoing commentary as
a parallel process,
a parallel process. Yeah. So I also look forward in terms of what are they likely to be saying, which is the departure of that.
Yeah.
But perhaps maybe the criticism against Pravin has been too deep for them to remain quiet.
We really have to thank you for your time.